Paratmanamekam jagadbijamadyam niriham nirakaram onkara vedyam yato jayate palyate yena vishvam tamisham bhaje liyate yatra vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. So, dear devotees, so we have finished 2 sessions of this 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Before we proceed and take up the second verse, we have finished the first verse. Just to sum up what we had discussed in the last 2 sessions. This 15th chapter contains the very essence of the whole of the Gita. Not only the essence of the whole of the Gita, but the essence of the whole of the Vedas itself. Because it deals with the knowledge of the true nature of the supreme reality, which is the one thing which we human beings have to seek. And the outcome of the attainment of this knowledge of the supreme reality is moksha, mukti. So Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam and moksha phalam, and all the related points which go into the making of this venture successful, everything is touched upon in this chapter. So, right in the beginning, Bhagavan Krishna presents to us a beautiful painting of the samsara, of this creation, which is compared to a tree, samsara vriksha. Just like a tree comes out of a root or a seed, similarly this mesmerizing creation which we are experiencing, it comes out from a root. That root is the supreme root, the primary root. That root is what Brahman associated with Maya. It is from that primary root that this mesmerizing samsara which we are experiencing, it comes out through a process of evolution. That root is invisible. From that invisible root, unmanifested state, this manifestation and the visible universe comes out. It comes out in varying degrees of grossness. From an extremely subtle, invisible state, the creation proceeds from there, becoming grosser and grosser and grosser, and finally we find ourselves witnessing this extremely perplexing, gross cosmos. So we are actually experiencing only the outermost and the grossest dimension of existence. We have absolutely no clue what lies behind this kind of an experience which we are having at the human plane. How many levels of existences are there? Subtle, subtler, and the most subtlest dimension is absolutely non-known to us. That's why that supreme truth is completely hidden from our view. That is why Krishna says that this is Guhyatamam Shastram. Shastram which deals with that which cannot be known through our sensory system. Now that supreme root which we are talking about, from where the creation proceeds, now that can never be known through our sense organs. There is a different way and method to experience that supreme root from where this creation has proceeded. And the nature of this creation is what? Bhagavan Krishna says, this creation is what? It is Ashwatham. Ashwatham means which is continuously changing, which is Pratikshanam Anyatha Svabhavaha. Every moment its nature keeps on changing. Actually, we are never witnessing the same persons here. Every moment we are different. We are gone. The old person is gone. Yet we have a sense of reality about what we are experiencing. And that is the whole problem of our understanding. The way we understand this creation, everything seems to be real by itself. But the question is this world as we are understanding it, is it real in that sense? Here everything is pratikshanam anyatha sabhava. Kshana pradvansinam. Every moment the thing is getting destroyed. Even in the very act of perception, the thing is already changed and destroyed, it's gone. We are never seeing the same entity, the same person. So Krishna says this entire universe which we are experiencing, which seems to us so real, we don't even question about it. All our dealings in life is completely based upon that foundational sense of reality about what we are experiencing. Again, I repeat this point. All of our life stands on a foundational conviction. We are completely convinced that the world as we are experiencing, our understanding about it, our sense of reality about it, the sense of realism in it, it is totally unquestioned. And based upon that unquestioned sense of realism about what we are experiencing, our whole life goes on. Endlessly it goes on. That's why it is avyayam. It is ashwatham and it is avyayam. Avyayam means it is imperishable. As long as we don't initiate an inquiry into the true nature of the samsara is bound to go on in this way, endlessly. So this is the kind of a picture which Sri Krishna painted. But the picture is not complete. Now, the second verse, Krishna says, he says, Adhaschordhvam prasritas tasya shakhaha guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha adhascha mulani anusantatani karma anubandhini manushya loke. What does it mean? In the first verse, Krishna spoke about the primary root from where the creation proceeds. In the second verse, Krishna presents the secondary root from where the creation further branches forth. So there are two roots. One is the supreme root. The supreme root is what? Brahman associated with Maya. We have seen that is at the root of everything. And from there proceeds this creation through a process of evolution. And we come to this gross cosmos which we are experiencing. And in this gross cosmos, we come to the human plane of existence. Manushya loka. And this human being himself then becomes the second root, the secondary root from where the creation further branches forth. So there are two roots. One is the supreme root, which is Brahman associated with Maya. And the second root is this Manushya himself. In the Manushya loka, in this human plane of existence, we ourselves become the secondary root from where this creation further branches forth. We shall look into it, the meaning of it. So Krishna says here, in this Manushya loka, in this human plane of existence, adhascha urdhvam prasritas tasya shakhaha. Tasya shakhaha. Shakha means branches. This creation, this tree, the tree with branches, the samsara vriksha, the tree of this world, its branches further branch forth in this human plane of existence. And it branches forth in two directions, Adha and Urdhvam, up and down. Now, what is the meaning of this? At the human plane of existence, the samsara further spreads upward and downward. What does it mean? It means that at the human plane, we are constantly doing karma. We are constantly acting. Action is going on. And all our actions are driven by desires. We are driven by the force of desire. Our desires make us act in a certain way. If our desires are of adharmic kind, when we do evil things, when we act in an evil way, the consequence of that evil action will be of one kind. It takes us adha. See, from the human plane, this creation, the samsara further branches forth, either downward. Downward branching forth means what? Based upon our actions, a certain kind of action, evil action. When we do evil action, we have to reap the evil fruits of it. And what is the evil fruit? Evil fruit is nothing but we are born in inferior bodies or inferior or dark planes of existences. Just like we are born, reborn in animal bodies, plant bodies, or such inferior species. This is one beautiful, in fact, it is only in the Vedic system of thought we have this idea of reincarnation, and all these different plants and animals, they are all jivas, and they are all nothing but reaping the fruits of actions, a certain kind of actions they have done at the human plane. This is the great Siddhanta, the great law of reincarnation. Based upon the kind of karmas we do, we get a certain kind of a body. So see, the human being himself becomes a center or a root from where the samsara is further branching forth. Either it can branch forth downward based upon the kind of karma we have done. We either take birth in lower species, it may be a plant, it may be an animal, or anything lower, even very evil forms of bodies. Or the other thing is also possible. From the human plane, it may further branch forth upward. Upward means when we do very good karmas, actions based upon dharma, principles of dharma, when we do good actions, the outcome of that good action will be what? We are born in higher planes of existences. Like we are born in a God's body. There are several planes of existences in this cosmos. Now, this is also a unique idea, unique to the Vedic system of thought. These ideas are not present in other systems. So again, it presents wonderful things before the human mind, that we should not be thinking that this human plane of existence is the only world as we understand. There are several planes of existences not visible to us, not perceptible to us, but they exist. There are living beings at several planes of existences, but this human plane is the karma bhumi. Based upon the kind of karma we do here, the creation, the samsara vriksha, this tree of this world, further branches forth, either downward or upward. Downward or upward means either inferior bodies we get or we get superior bodies. That is the only meaning of downward and upward. Inferior and superior. So in this way, at the human plane, you say, see, adhascha urdhvam prasritas tasya shakhaha. Of this tree, shakhaha, branches, they branch forth in two directions, either downward or upward, based upon the kind of karmas which we have performed. And then what? Guna pravriddha. Guna pravriddha means this branch, it becomes pravriddha, means it becomes solidified or strengthened by gunas. We have seen that this entire creation proceeds from Brahman associated with Maya. And Maya is Trigunatmika, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Actually speaking, whatever we are seeing, it is all nothing but three gunas working in so many forms. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas combined in various configuration, we find this entire mesmerizing world. It is all Trigunatmika samsara. Maya, made up of, I should not say made up of, the three gunas are Maya. Maya means Triguna, it is Trigunatmik. And that three gunas are the material out of which this entire samsara is made. So the samsara is Maya Mayam. Maya Mayam means it is made up of the three gunas. So the three gunas are the material substance out of which this entire creation or the cosmos has been made. So guna pravriddhaha, strengthened by the three gunas. And what? Vishaya pravalaha. Pravala means the sprout, just like in a tree, from the branch, the first leaf which comes out. A leaf sprouts from the branch. You may say twig, and from the twig, the first leaf which comes out. That is pravalaha. Vishaya pravalaha. Similarly, here in this samsara vriksha, the different objects are like the leaves born out of the branch. And these objects are our own creation. These objects present themselves to us based upon our own desires. Whatever we desire, that kind of an object presents before us in a certain way. So all these objects which we find in the universe, they are based upon our own desires which we have, and they sprout forth just like a leaf which sprout forth from the branch. This is how the samsara vriksha is further spreading and becoming vaster and vaster from the human plane of existence itself. So you see, first, this creation proceeds from the supreme root, which is Brahman associated with Maya. From there, coming to this human plane of existence, the human being himself becomes the other point from where the creation further spreads in so many ways. And that completely depends upon the kind of desires he has and the kind of actions that he performs. So guna pravruddha and vishaya pravala and adhascha mulani anusantatani. And this mula, now we are talking about the secondary mula, not the primary mula. Secondary mula is the human plane. And what is the mula? Desires. The desires in the human heart, they become like the bija, the seed, from where further the samsara spreads forth. The desires, the raga and the dvesha, which is formed out of the karmas which we have performed earlier. This is the most funniest part of it. The question then arises, from where did this desire come about? Whatever desires we have today, it is based upon the kind of actions we had done before. And then this desire itself is going to become the cause of the further actions that we are going to do. And again, we perform action, it further causes further desires. So desire and action. Desire and action. It's like an unending chain, one causing the other. We don't know which came first, desire or the actions. We'll see this. It's a very interesting. That is the topic of discussion in the next verse, where Krishna says very beautiful thing. So at the human plane, this mula, human being himself becomes a mula, the center from where the creation proceeds. So adhascha mulani anusantatani. Now this branches forth. From here, the Srishti further branches forth downward. As I said, depending upon the kind of karma that he has done. If he has done bad karmas, he is born in lower bodies. So adascha mulani anusantatani, from the human plane, if he has done bad karmas, based upon bad karma, he is further born in lower bodies. Karma anubandhini. These desires are followed by karma. Karma anubandha means these desires are followed by actions. Karma anubandhini manushya loke. So this is the second beautiful point which Krishna presents to us. In the first verse was presented to us the idea that this entire creation came out of that supreme primary root, which is Brahman associated with Maya. And in the second verse, this creation coming to the human plane, the human being himself becomes the secondary or subsidiary root from where this tree of the samsara further branches forth, either in higher planes or into the lower planes. So this is the description of the samsara vriksha. Now, the third verse comes. Very beautiful. Krishna says here, Na rupamasye iha tatha upalabhyate. Na rupamasye iha tatha upalabhyate. Nanto na chadir nacha sampratishtha. Ashvattamenam suvirudha moolam. Asanga shastrena tridhena chitva. Tata tat padam parimargitavyam. We shall stop here. Today we shall discuss from till this point. We shall take the first line of the fourth verse also. Very beautiful thing Krishna is telling here. Krishna is saying here, now this samsara vriksha as it has been painted, the painting of this entire samsara. Krishna says, Na rupam asya iha tatha upalabhyate. Asya rupam. The true nature of the samsara, nobody understands it the way it has been presented to us by Bhagavan Krishna. It's a very important point. Our understanding about this samsara, is it as per the description given by Bhagavan Krishna here? Does the common man understand the samsara in this way as Krishna has described here? See, we are trying to understand the true nature of the samsara. Why? It's a very important question. As I said in the beginning, this chapter or Bhagavad Gita itself or the Upanishads or the Vaidika Hindu Dharma, essentially it concerns with only one thing, that is Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam. And this Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam, which means the knowledge of the supreme reality, this Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam is never going to come unless we have Vairagya for this samsara. Vairagya is the first thing which is required, the eligibility, the competence which makes us competent and fit to seek that supreme reality. As long as we take this samsara to be real on its face value, we are presently blissfully carrying on with our life, thinking that whatever we are seeing here, perceiving here, it is real in its own way. But the question is whether our understanding about the samsara is the right understanding or not. That's why Krishna is telling here, Na rupamasya iha tatha upalabhyate. Nobody comprehends, nobody understands the samsara as it has been presented here. Does anyone understand the world in this way? That the samsara, it has come out from a supreme root? Does a common man on the street has got this idea? Does he know that the samsara is ashvattham? Never. For him the samsara is absolutely real. All his life, throughout his life, all his actions, his decisions, his priorities, everything is based upon an unquestioning sense of realism about what he is perceiving through his sense organ. And as long as this is continuing, the man is in a trap. We are inside a trap. This is what is bandhana. We are bound here by our own wrong understanding about what we are perceiving. That is why Krishna is saying here, Na rupamasya iha tatha upalabhyate. Nobody perceives the world, the samsara, as we are supposed to perceive based upon what Krishna is telling here. That urdhva moolam adashakam ashwatham prahuravyayam chandansi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid adhaschordhvam prasrutastasya shakaha gunapravruddha vishayapravalaha adhascha moolani anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya lokehe. In this way, who understands? Who understands the world in this way? No one understands this way. So what is its true rupam? Unless we understand the true nature of the samsara, this vairagya is never going to come. See, human beings' behavior will be naturally depending upon what he takes to be real and true. Whatever we take to be real and true, we cling to it. Mind is bound to cling to it. As long as we are taking this world to be real on its face value, never questioning its real veracity, whether it's really true or whether it is appearing to be true, never questioning about it, as long as this continues, we are never going to have vairagya for it. We are totally bound. We are drowned in this samsara. So, vairagya will be the natural response, the outcome, once you understand the true rupam of the samsara. What is its true rupam? What is its true nature of the samsara? So what is its true nature of the samsara? Shankaracharya beautifully says, further describing na rupamasyeha tatha upalabhyate. So what is the rupam of the samsara? Till now what Krishna has described, ashwatham avyayam. Ashwatham means kshanapradhvansinam pratikshanam anyatha sabhavaha. This kind of a samsara, Shankaracharya further elaborates it. Beautiful 3 points. He says, what is the true nature of the samsara which we have seen just now through the lens of Sri Krishna? We are trying to understand this perplexing and mesmerizing samsara through the lens and the spectacle provided to us by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. Let us all wear this spectacle. Then we will be seeing a different thing, not what we were perceiving before. So what is that vision? So Shankaracharya says, what is the true nature of the samsara? He says, swapna vat. I am reading from the Bhashya. This samsara is like a dream. Now, every point needs some elaboration here. Beautiful. It is ashwatham. This samsara, nothing lasts here for the next moment. Where is the thing which we are dealing with here? We are dealing with some kind of a phantasm actually. Just some shadows. Everything seems to be real, but where is the thing? Even when we are discussing, the speaker here and the listener, everybody is changing. Who is here static? Everything is changing. Where is the entity? Where is the person we are dealing with? And it is swapnavat. It is just like a dream. In the dream also we come across a beautiful samsara like this. And as long as the dream is going on, the dream is perfectly real. When we dream, you can just recollect. Yesterday night you might have dreamt something. You can just try to, it's a beautiful thing. It is prescribed that you should meditate upon what you have dreamt at night. It's a very good thing. When we were dreaming yesterday night, when we dreamt, when the dream was going on, for the time being, the dream world, it is just like this what we are experiencing here. There also we are there, Other beings are there. The entire world, everything is just as we experience here. And that dream, when the dream is going on, for the dreamer, that world is just as real as this world here. We never doubt. But the moment the dream breaks, where has the whole thing disappeared? Now, Krishna says that this, what we are experiencing here, this is also just another dream which is going on. Now, this will become clear only when we begin the process of investigation. Now, we are completely tied down and glued to this gross plane, as I said. We don't even have any idea about what is existing behind this gross plane. The more and more the mind goes to the subtler planes, which is what actually Vairagya makes possible. Without Vairagya, how can you go to the subtler planes of existence unless you give up the gross planes? So, this world which we are experiencing, it is just like a dream, Krishna says. When you begin to investigate into it, this dream also will break one day or the other. Very soon it is bound to break. And that should happen. We should begin to see this world in its real nature and not in our fantasy or not as we usually understand. So this world is just like a dream, he says. Then what? He says, Shankaracharya says, and what is the true rupam of the samsara? The true nature of the samsara? Marichi udakavat. Every point is important. Marichi udaka. Marichi udaka means what? Water seen in a mirage. This is a beautiful example about which Swami Vivekananda speaks in his famous lecture on Maya. Swamiji gives this very example about what is the true nature of this world which we are experiencing. It is just like a water seen in a mirage. Those who have gone to the deserts, they know very well this is a common experience in deserts. In deserts, often sometimes we come across a strange experience. We begin to see water at a great distance. And literally it looks like water. It looks like a lake from a distance. Swami Vivekananda says when he was walking in Rajputana, once he came across, when he was walking in the desert and it was midday sun and he was having intense thirst, suddenly he saw a lake at a great distance. And thinking that water is there, he was so overjoyed and he thought that let me go and quench my thirst. And he started to walk in the direction of that water. And the more he was walking in that direction, more the water was receding backward and backward. The more he is walking in that direction, the further the water is receding backward and backward. Now, in this way, Vivekananda said that I walked for several miles, then suddenly it struck me that there is no water there at all. This is what is known as mirage, mrigatrishnika. Similarly, in this world, this samsara which we are experiencing, Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying that everything is just like mrigatrishnika. What it connotes, the connotation of this beautiful illustration is that you may chase the different objects in this world. Nothing will come into your hands. This is exactly what is happening in our lives. The question is, where is the thing which you can hold? Where is the thing? Somebody can come forward and prove a thing. What is this thing called thing? Does a thing really exist as we understand it? When you investigate into the thing, you will find that such a thing never existed. It is not existing. What is existing is something else. Now, that is the whole inquiry. The inquiry is about what is actually existing and what is appearing to be existing. So when you investigate into the true nature of the samsara, you will find that it is just like water seen in a mirage. You chase and chase and chase, and nothing comes into your hand. Even this body itself, which we have taken it for granted, our whole personal identity is completely based upon this body idea. The question is, can anyone even hold one's own body? What to talk about some other object? This body also, we can't hold on to it. It is continuously changing, and it is only a matter of time before it gets dissolved. So where is the thing which you can hold on to? The holder himself is questionable, and the thing which we want to hold, it's also questionable. Its existence is questionable. Existence as we understand about that. So you will find the whole thing is like Mrigatrishnika, like waters seen in a mirage. All the things appear, and we keep on chasing these appearing objects. And throughout the life, you see, we run and we run and we run. Often I tell, we are continuously running to reach nowhere. Human life story is that we are continuously running to reach nowhere. You keep on running, you reach nowhere actually. You are in the same spot. But whole life we run and we run and we run. Actually speaking, nothing comes in our hands because there is nothing, there is no thing to come into your hand. Where is the thing which will come into your hand? The life goes on in this way. And one day, the life ends. Again it starts. This is how we chase a mirage, and the chase goes on and on. It's a dead end pursuit. It's literally a dead end pursuit. That is why here, no matter what you have, actually you are not having anything. You may have a lot of wealth, actually you have nothing. You may have 10 bungalows, and yet you have nothing. That's why no matter what you may have this entire world itself, yet you are going to be empty. These are the connotations of this illustration called Mrigatrishnika. You may have this entire samsara. You may have the whole world, all the kingdom with you, and yet the human soul is going to be empty because the so-called world is a thing which is not a thing. It doesn't exist as we understand. That's why Krishna is saying, Na rupam asya iha tatha upalabhyate. We are not understanding, we are not comprehending the world as we are supposed to comprehend it. We are wrongly comprehending it. We are misreading the whole thing. We need to read it correctly. We need to read this experience of this world in the right manner. That is what Krishna is teaching us here. The seeds of the beautiful word. So this samsara which we are talking about, which Krishna so beautifully painted here, the picture he was painting here, that this creation branches forth from an invisible state. From that invisible state it becomes manifested, visible. And this entire samsara, starting from the invisible state to the manifested state, everything is ashvatham. It is just like a dream. A dream means an experience of something which is not actually existing. Please listen to this very carefully. The samsara which has proceeded from the superior state, urdhva moolam. From there, the samsara which has proceeded and which has become gross and visible, this whole samsara is nothing but ashvatham. It is continuously changing. And what? It is like a dream. We are experiencing something which is not actually existing. What is here actually existing is something different. It is like Mrigatrishnika, just like a water seen in a mirage. The connotation of this, that is, no matter what you chase after in this world, nothing comes into our hand. A very important point. So this is how the natural, if you have understood this true nature of samsara in this way, the natural outcome, the natural spontaneous, no effort is needed. If we have understood the true nature of the samsara which we are experiencing through our sensory system, the natural spontaneous outcome is going to be virag, detachment. And that is the first condition, or that is what gives us the competence to have the experience of the true nature of our own self. So the samsara is like swapna, marichi udaka, maya. Shankaracharya says maya. Third statement is maya. Maya means what? Here maya means the magic of a magician. Just like in a magic show, you have a magician who creates all kinds of things before you. Beautiful. We are totally thrilled and enthralled by what we see on the stage. The magician brings out so many things from nowhere. Now, does all those things actually exist? Magician exists, but not the magic. Magic appears to be existing. The magician is true, but not his magic. His magic is something very perplexing, inscrutable. Shankaracharya says, this entire creation is just like a magic show of a magician. Now, we are totally mesmerized by the magic. We are not paying attention to the magician. That supreme root which we talked about in the first verse, that root is what is the magician, Ishvara. It is Ishvara's own magic-like creation. We are mesmerized by the magic show and we are totally forgetful about the magician. Unless we go back to the roots, we have no other way. Now, that is what will be discussed in the next verse. So Shankaracharya says this true nature of this samsara is what? It is like swapna, a dream. It is like marichi udaka, mirage, water seen in a mirage. Its connotations are so beautiful. Marichi udaka is a beautiful example that you keep on chasing the water, you never get water. No one can quench one's thirst by the water seen in a mirage. That is the point. That's why here we remain thirsty in spite of all the indulgences and enjoyments that we have in this world. All kinds of enjoyments you can have. It can go on. Yet the human being remains empty and thirsty. That thirst is never going to be quenched. So Marichi Udaka, Maya, the samsara is just like a magic show of a magician. And then last one he says, Gandharva Nagara Samatvat. Gandharva Nagara. Gandharva Nagara means just like the clouds in the sky. The clouds come and they form, they take different shapes. And sometimes when we look at the clouds in the sky, it may appear to be just like a town, a big city in the sky. Gandharva Nagara. A Nagara means a city seen in the sky, formed by the clouds in a different shapes. Many times it happens, when you look at a cloud, it may seem as if the cloud has taken the form of an entire city, a town there. But what is it? It is every moment. This Gandharva Nagara. What is the validity of that? It is changing. It will just vanish. It is just that for 2 minutes and then the whole cloud is gone. For 2 minutes it appeared to be just like a town there, a Gandharva Nagara, and after 2 minutes it's gone. It disappeared. This world is just like that. This is the true Rupam. The true nature of the samsara is like that. So beautiful. So Krishna is telling, Na Rupamasya iha tatha upalabhyate. And as it is of this kind, this is the true nature of the samsara. That's why Krishna says, Na anto na chadir na cha sampratishtha. Nobody can determine its beginning. Nobody can understand where is its end, and nobody understands how it is continuing. Its beginning, its end, and its continuance in between. It's all inscrutable, inscrutable, inscrutable. That's why you see everybody is confused about this world. You may go to all the so-called physicists, all the so-called strivings, wonderful strivings of the human mind. This is all actually the struggle of the human mind to understand truth. It's a wonderful thing. Only that struggle can go in wrong directions also. I won't say it is a wrong direction, but it's not altogether a completely right direction. It's a struggle of the human mind. It's a very nature. Human being is gifted with that wonderful capacity to probe into truth. But what is going to be the true direction in which we can unravel the mystery of this creation? That direction can come only from the Shastras. Because even the physicists understand only this gross plane of existence. That is the problem. The world which we are seeing through our sensory system, for the physicists that alone is existing. Whereas the Vedas, the Rishis, they talk about so many planes of existences are not visible to us. What about that? Which physics can explore that? So, here, the Adi, the Anta, and Madhya, the beginning, the end, and the continuance of this creation, it's all perplexing. Nobody can determine. Who can determine? Now see, we all have the calculations. This creation it started 14 billion years ago, the Big Bang, and so many theories. Scientists, they keep on propounding, proposing different theories. How many theories have been propounded, and how many more theories will come in future? It will go on, endlessly it will go on. Yet, the world, the samsara, as a mystery, is bound to remain as a mystery, unless we go to the very root of this entire creation. Urdhvam Moolam, that supreme root. Without going there, this mystery of this gross world is never going to be resolved. It is a challenge. So, na anto, na chadir, or na madhyam. The beginning, the end, and the middle, the continuance of this creation, everything is so perplexing. Nobody can understand. The question is, can anyone determine the beginning of a dream state? The dream world, if we ask this question, can anyone tell at what time the dream started? The dream world is just like that. Let somebody find out. Inside the dream world, there may be a physicist. That physicist may say that this world started 14 billion years back. Fine. Inside the dream, there is a human being. He's struggling to find out at what time that so-called dream world started. Will that person ever come to a conclusion about it? Nobody can determine the beginning of what we are experiencing, this world. That is why the Vedas talk about the samsara as anadi. It is beginningless. No one can determine its starting point. It is anadi, and it is also ananta. It will go on as long as we don't come to the truth. This is going on. It is a mysterious thing. That is why the great masters have used only one word about this creation which we are experiencing. See, their comprehension of this samsara is what? Mahadbhutam, anirvachaniyam. 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 Anirvachaniyam means inscrutable. It is inscrutable. You cannot speak about it this way or that way. It is mesmerizing. It is totally perplexing. Using the human buddhi, no one can understand neither the beginning, nor the end, nor how this universe is continuing. It's all perplexing. It is all mesmerizing. It is inscrutable. That is why Krishna is saying, na rupamasyeha tatha upalabhyate. Nobody understands this samsara the way we are discussing here. Does a common man understand the samsara in this way? For him, the samsara is absolutely true, absolutely real. And he deals with everything with that sense of realism in this samsara. And that takes his life in a totally one direction. The endless series of sufferings which we have in our life, which we suffer on a daily basis, almost on a momentary basis, every moment it is happening, it is only owing to our unquestionable sense of reality in what we are experiencing, without knowing the true rupam of the samsara. So see, Krishna is so kind, so compassionate. Krishna is keeping before us the true nature of the samsara so that we come out of this dream, we come out of this fantasy, we come out of this imaginary idea of the samsara. So beautiful. It shows the Krishna as the great master's compassion so that we come out of this trap. So, na rupamasya tatha iha upalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha. Nobody understands its beginning. Nobody understands its end. And nobody understands how it is continuing. And finally, now this kind of a dream-like universe, samsara, this kind of a mirage-like samsara, the world which we are experiencing, which is like a water scene in a mirage, which is an experience of something which is not actually existing, this kind of a world which is just like a Gandharva Nagara, just like a city seen on the sky, this kind of a world which is just like a magic show of a magician, this samsara has to be completely uprooted. How do you uproot it? Beautiful. Krishna says, Chitva. Chitva means completely cutting it. The last line is so beautiful. It says, Ashwattamenam suvirudha moolam asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. Chitva means completely cutting it. This samsara which we are seeing, it has to be cut asunder. Cutting, Shankaracharya says, see, if you just cut a tree, cutting the trunk of the tree is not going to kill the tree. The tree will further grow from there. So Chitva literally means cutting, but Shankaracharya says Chitva actually means uprooting, completely pulling out the tree along with its roots. If you have to literally kill a plant, you have to uproot it. You have to remove it along with its roots. The roots should not remain. If the roots are left behind, it will further grow. So beautiful. So Shankaracharya says, cutting is not enough. You have to uproot it. Along with the root, you have to pluck it out completely. So beautiful. Ashwattamenam suvirudha moolam. This Ashwattha vriksha, samsara vriksha, the tree of samsara, which is Ashwattham, we have seen the meaning of Ashwattham. This mesmerizing, continuously changing tree of this world has to be cut asunder. It has to be completely uprooted. Uprooted with what? Asanga shastra. Dridhena. Dridhena asanga shastrena. With a strong weapon of detachment. See the beautiful. That's why I say this is a wonderful chapter in which the whole thing has been told. Krishna is saying this samsara vriksha has to be uprooted. How? Dridhena asanga shastrena. Shastra means weapon. And what is this weapon? Asangata is the weapon. Asangata means non-attachment or detachment. Detachment is like a weapon. It is like a shastra. And the shastra has to be strong. Just like if you have to cut a peepal tree or a banyan tree, you need a strong sword. You can't just cut a tree with a knife. You need a big axe or a big saw with which you can cut a huge tree. Similarly, if the samsara vriksha has to be completely uprooted, we need a very sharp shastra, weapon of detachment. Dridha asanga shastra. Dridha asanga shastra. A very strong weapon of detachment. And what is this strong weapon of detachment? How can this weapon, how can our spirit of detachment become strong? If the spirit of detachment works like a knife, like a saw, with the help of which we can completely uproot the samsara, so how do we make our spirit of detachment stronger? See, this is the crux of the problem, and this is also the solution to the problems we have in our life. How to make our spirit of detachment stronger? Shankaracharya so beautifully says in his commentary, how do you do that? When the mind is constantly practicing viveka, that constant practice of viveka means what? That constant understanding, the comprehension about what is unchanging and what is changing. The constant comprehension of the human mind, where the human mind is clearly comprehending what is changing, what is ashwatham and what is shashwatham. This capacity which is there in the human mind, and to utilize this capacity constantly when we are handling this world, this process of viveka should be continuously going on. Understanding the true nature of this world, whatever we are handling here, it's all ashwatham. It is all anityam. It is all continuously changing. And to understand that there is something unchanging within our own self. So this practice of discrimination, viveka, is like Shankaracharya says, suppose if you have a knife, and if you have to make the knife sharp, what do? You take the knife and rub it on a stone, is it not? Knife, if you have to make the knife sharper, you have to rub it on the stone. Similarly, when the human mind continuously practices discrimination, Shankaracharya says, that practice is like the knife which is being rubbed on a stone and made sharper. Similarly, when the mind is continuously practicing this viveka, this weapon of detachment becomes sharper and sharper. And in that way, the mind becomes resolute to look towards the unchanging Supreme Self. It's a resolute mind directed towards the Supreme Self. Again, I repeat this point. I'm just repeating Shankaracharya's words here. Shankaracharya talks about a resolute mind directed towards the Atman or Ishvara. See, when you know the samsara is of this kind, when you see this entire samsara through the lens of Krishna's wonderful words, when you know that it is ashwatham, when you begin to know that it is like a dream, when you understand that it is like a water in a mirage, through that what will happen? You will have a resolute mind which will be directed towards the self, the Atman, the Ishvara, which is the supreme root from this creation, from where the creation has proceeded. What we have discussed in the first verse, this creation has proceeded from that supreme root, Ishvara. So you will be resolved. It will be a resolute mind which will be constantly looking towards that supreme root. It will turn away from this mesmerizing magic show of that magician. So it is this way. In this way we make this Ashanga Shastra. The weapon of detachment has to be made stronger and stronger, sharper and sharper by repeated practice of Viveka, where we turn away from this so-called this changing dimension, and we look towards the unchanging supreme reality which is within our own soul, our own self, that Ishvara. It is with this kind of a sharp Asanga Shastra, the sword of detachment, you cut asunder or completely uproot this samsara vriksha. Then we are ready to embark upon the search for the supreme reality. See, so beautiful. Unless we have developed detachment for the samsara, we are unfit. We are not eligible. We don't have the competence to seek the supreme reality. That is what Krishna is saying. Then he says, Tata padam tat parimargitavyam. So beautiful. Once you have uprooted the samsara vriksha from its roots, then Tata padam, tat padam parimargitavyam. That is the next verse. That is verse number 4. I am just taking the first line. We shall go into the details of it in the next class. So, Tata padam tat parimargitavyam. Tata means thereafter. Once you have uprooted this samsara with the help of the sword of detachment, which is the Asanga Shastra, once you have done that, then you have to seek. Parimargitavyam means to seek. You have to seek that supreme reality within your own self. Unless we develop this detachment in our life, we are not competent to seek the supreme reality. The matter is very simple. As long as we are completely drowned in this dream-like world, as long as we have taken this mirage-like world to be real, again I repeat, as long as we have taken this mirage-like world to be real, this dream-like world to be real, this magic-like world to be real, where is the question of knowing the reality which is inside our own self? So that fitness, that competence can come only when we have developed detachment, and with the help of detachment we have completely uprooted the samsara vriksha. Then tata padam tat parimargitavyam. One should seek that supreme reality. So beautiful. So that we shall take it in the next class. Now you see, in short, what we have discussed in today's class is, in the first 3 verses, Krishna has presented to us the true nature of the samsara. Now again the question comes, did we have this kind of an understanding about the samsara? Does the common man have this kind of an understanding about samsara? That's a big question. No, we don't have. We have just the opposite of this. And that is why we suffer in life. That's why this knowledge comes only from the Shastras, from the words of the great masters. And when we begin to implement all these things in our lives, you see, a wonderful change can come. A total transformation can come. And that transformation is what? The transformation in the form of Vairagya. Vairagya doesn't mean running away anywhere. This is another thing. In fact, whenever we talk about Vairagya, people are very much scared. Vairagya is the best thing to happen in human life. In fact, the most beautiful things can happen when we begin to handle the life situations most wisely and intelligently only when we have Vairagya. Otherwise, we constantly mishandle the life situations. This we shall take it up in the next class. So in this way, Krishna has presented to us in the first 3 verses the true nature of the samsara which we are experiencing here, which deserves to be uprooted. I use the word deserves. It has to be uprooted. And human beings alone can do it. It deserves to be uprooted. And if we don't uproot, usually what we are doing it, we are nourishing it. Instead of uprooting it, we are nicely pouring water to it every day, owing to our wrong understanding. We are nicely nourishing it, we are giving it all kinds of fertilizers, and further nourishing the samsara in which we are trapped. So, Krishna opens our eyes and tells us this is a tree which needs and which deserves to be uprooted, and the way to uproot is developing detachment, which is like a weapon. Asanga Shastra. And this Asanga Shastra, if it is blunt, it won't work. It has to be sharp. How to make it sharper? By constant practice of Viveka. It is this constant practice of Viveka which makes this weapon of detachment sharper and sharper. And with that detachment, with that weapon of detachment, you have to completely uproot the samsara vriksha. And then you begin to seek that supreme reality. That is the topic of next verse. We shall take it up later. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.